going, guys? It's the Mighty Sucram. I'm back, bitches. I've taken control of the channel today, and I'm gonna have a heavyweight bout with the mister right there on the right side. You can go fuck yourself, Gilvis. I've heard you've been talking a lot of shit about me. We're gonna throw down later. Anyways, we're here today with me and Gil are dressed up as our alter egos today. Uh, obviously, the Sucram, and obviously Gil, and in the bottom corner we have C4. She'll be with us for a little bit. A lot to talk about, and I'm gonna run. My patience for this mustache is gonna run thin. Okay, let's kick it off by the first game. This game I didn't even watch, to be honest. I fell asleep and I woke up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and I saw that we lost. I guess it doesn't want to work. Whatever. Alright. Come on, Ancho. There we go. You go. You're better than that. Okay. So Gil, or Gilvis, you may talk in the Gilvis voice. You may talk in your regular voice. I don't care. Go ahead and tell us how this game went. He's jealous of my red hair. He's just jealous. Did he? Yeah.
That was it. I don't know what the hell happened, but the Washington Capitals forgot how to play Washington Capitals hockey for about 45 friggin' minutes. That's what happened.
Yeah.
They got shots on net. They had scoring chances, but it was all. I think they went out of their way to make sure that their goalie saw every shot that came at him. And the one goal they did get, surprise, Dubois was literally 2 feet from the goal line when he scored it.
I did want to talk about that amazing save by Lindgren, though, towards the end of the game. He was being pulled. He was going towards the bench, and Vancouver recovered the puck. They went for the empty netter, and he dove and made a save. And you know what? The Mighty Sucram! He approves! He approves! Alright, so that's that game. Vancouver wins 2-1. Ain't nothing but a hound dog, right? Alright, let's get into the next game. Lazy all the time. Right. So this game was a little of the same. I mean, this game I did watch. I watched some of it. I got to watch the end of it specifically, but this game when I came home, it was already 1-0. Dubois starting to score, which is crazy. I'm just gonna keep that mustache off. I'm not even gonna put it back on. But then the power play troubles, like Gil, you were saying in the chat, last night, that didn't seem like the Caps could get a single power play called their way. Except every time they turned around, they were in the box, and it cost them in the second period. Blake Coleman made it 2-1-1. But the good thing is, this is the only goal that Calgary would score. And then we get a 5-on-3, and Dylan Strome scores. And then Protas with a steal. I don't know if this was a shorthanded goal.
It wasn't. It was like five seconds after. And it wasn't one of those jailbreak goals either. Protas just picked the guy clean and then just charged him.
Yeah, and he beat Wolf, blocker side. So Caps win 3-1. Thompson has another 32 save performance. Not too bad, not too shabby for the last two games for the Caps. 1-1. They end the West Coast trip. They got one more road game and then they're back home, which me and the Gilvis will be at on Saturday. Looking forward to that. Not gonna have any energy because I have to work all day. Uh,
You coming straight from work to that game?
yeah, I work six. I work 6 to 12, and I'm going straight to DC right after. Yeah.
I heard a Mustang Sally, but Mustang Libby's?
Who is this? Who is this Libby you speak of? All right. So let's, like I said, the Capitals, they win every game except for Vancouver on this West Coast road trip. They have one more West Coast road trip. They have two more visits out west. They have the California trip and they have the Winnipeg, Minnesota games. Uh, then they're done for the rest of the season. Um, let's talk about the standings right now. Capitals are currently neck and neck with Winnipeg. And
Get grandma's ashtray on top of a salad bowl and just hand the damn thing to Winnipeg now. We don't want it.
I think oh we're beating Winnipeg on Saturday. We're beating them. The thing is, we're not beating them in Winnipeg. They're gonna kill us. Winnipeg are 100% better team at home than they are on the road. They are 25-3 at home. They are 15-9 on the road. We are 100% beating them on Saturday. I will take that shit to the grave with my grandmother's ashes. Rest in peace, Nana Leona. All right. But the Capitals have a brutal schedule coming up uh, next month in March. And I'm looking at both schedules, and I think Winnipeg will ultimately be winning the President's Trophy because they play three less playoff potential teams, where we play almost five or four or five. Uh, our entire March, we have Detroit twice, we have Tampa Bay, we have Florida twice, we have Boston. I think we have Boston. Let me check the schedule. I know our February is not that easy either. We have Pittsburgh. So our February is Winnipeg, Florida, Philadelphia, Utah, Pittsburgh, Edmonton, Calgary, and St. Louis. Potentially looking at four losses right there. Uh, then we have the March, which is just a straight, what I call a death row. We have Tampa Bay on Saturday on the 1st. Then we have Ottawa on Monday. Then we have New York 2 days after that on Wednesday. Then we have Detroit, Seattle, and then we have the West Coast trip out west. Our final West Coast trip in California, at Anaheim, LA, and San Jose. Then we have what I call the death row part 2. We have Detroit, Philadelphia, Florida. Then we have Winnipeg in Minnesota. So that's the end of the death row. And then finally we end the month of March against Buffalo. Potentially we could go on a 4 or 5
Hold on. When's the Minnesota game?
towards the end of March.
Oh man.
Why?
Well, Kirill Kaprizov just got hurt, right?
Yeah. No, he won't be. He won't be in that game.
He won't be back by then.
No, he's gonna be out for 2 months.
I heard 4 to 6 weeks.
I heard 2 months. Uh, but anyways, we're looking at potentially losses all over the board here, and we don't even know how LA is gonna look like in March. Detroit's always played us tough. Florida, LA hasn't been playing home. No, not because they've been moving the games. It's just they haven't. They had their East Coast trip when it was happening. So The only game that had to be moved was the Rams game back during the wild card weekend. So, yeah, people were worried about us winning the President's Trophy. I don't worry. Like we have, like I said, a death row of games come March. We're probably gonna lose a handful of games to winnable teams as well. I mean, we always struggle against Ottawa. Detroit always gives us fits. The Rangers in New York, we don't fare well in Madison Square Garden. Tampa Bay always plays us tough. Plus, that's a matinee game, so that's probably going to be an L. Seattle always plays us tough. I don't think Seattle's yet to lose to us in our own barn. So I think, yeah, they've split with us, and they've always beaten us in Washington. So that's another potential loss. Anaheim, we can beat Anaheim. LA, we're probably going to lose because we usually split with them. We don't fare well in San Jose. We got Detroit again. We got Philadelphia, which I think Philadelphia will probably be a win because we've been playing well. We basically dominated them this year. Florida always plays us tough. We're not winning in Winnipeg. We're not winning in Minnesota, and we should beat Buffalo on the 30th. Yes. So Detroit, Philadelphia, and potentially Buffalo. I don't know yet on my work schedule yet. We're definitely going to Detroit and Philadelphia. I don't know yet for the Sabres game because if I have to work past 12, we can't go. Well, I mean, we can. We'll just get there right around the time the game starts. All right. Let's preview the next game. Actually, you know what? Let's look at Winnipeg first. Let's look at Winnipeg and see what their schedule looks like for the remainder of the season. All right. So here's their schedule. Let's pull it up. Let me pull it up, you jackasses. All right, so they got Boston tomorrow. They got us on Saturday. They got Carolina, Islanders. They got St. Louis, San Jose, Ottawa, Nashville. So they're playing us, Carolina, and Ottawa. Outside of that, they're not really playing any good teams. This is the one I'm talking about, though, March. They got Philadelphia. They got the Islanders, Philadelphia, New Jersey, who's struggling right now. Carolina's a good one. New York is playing well. Dallas is playing well. Edmonton's playing well. But if you outside of that, they have Vancouver, who's struggling. Seattle's struggling. Buffalo's struggling. They're going to beat us at home. New Jersey, they got New Jersey twice in March. They got Vancouver twice. And you're going to tell me that we're going to win the President's Trophy over this favorable schedule? No. No, and they're playing more home games than they are playing. Well, they're playing about the same amount, but the fact of the matter is, Winnipeg is winning that trophy. And then again, they have a really brutal April. You got Vegas, LA, Dallas, and Edmonton. It's still wide open. I just don't think we're going to do it. All right, let's look into the next game, Ottawa, which is potentially we could lose that game. I mean, we could lose tomorrow night. I mean, Ottawa is playing way better than they were the last time we played them. I mean, Ottawa's currently sitting in 8th. So I don't think I remember asking your opinion, Cheryl. This is my show. This is my show. This is my show. Who said this was your podcast? This is my show. I came up with this. Not you. I came up with this. This is my baby. Anyways. Says who? Bye. That's right.
This time next week, I'll be on a warm, sunny beach. Well, it won't be sunny, but a warm beach.
Yeah. All right.
I will talk to you, Johnny, later. Try not to get too bloody. I love you, Caps and Vancouver. I don't know if they open.
All right. Let's talk about Ottawa. So this is a tricky one. All right. I can't do this. Okay. We can go ahead and take the outfit off if you want. I was only planning on using it for the first half of the episode. All right. Well, we'll probably put it back on when we get to the prospects because that's when the shouting's gonna begin. All right. Yeah, this game is potentially a tough one for us. I mean, we barely beat them last time, and I mean when I mean barely beat them, I mean we were one bad bounce away from losing,
1 minute away from going to the damn shootout.
which we are 0-2 in this year. So, but like I said, Ottawa is playing 100 times better than they were when we first played them back 2 weeks ago. They are currently sitting in 8th place. No, they're currently sitting in 3rd of the division. Who would have thought that? This is going to be a tough choice. Who do you have, Gil?
As much as it kills me, Ottawa's another fast team, a lot like Vancouver, and I still say, people aren't believing me, but I still say Caps have a crap ton of trouble with the fast team, and they're still figuring it out, and this is going to be, it might go to overtime again, but, yeah, this is going to be an L. Caps pick up a point, I won't be too pissed off, but I don't see them winning this one.
I have a feeling they're going to lose this game and they're going to take this into the next game and they're going to beat Winnipeg. I really do. This game is going to fuel their fire for next Saturday's game. This coming Saturday's game.
I'm more than fine with that.
Which I am looking forward to that game. That's going to be a hell of a game on Saturday. Two of the best going at it. All right. Here comes the fun part. Before we get into the shouting shit, let's talk about trades. And let's talk about recent moves. All right. Washington has re-signed Logan Thompson to a 6-year deal, 5.64 AAV. It was originally reported 6, but it came out. Elliot Freeman came out and said it was closer to 5.64. So we were basically paying him nearly $6 million every year, but we are paying him for cheap. Is what I'm trying to get at. And we have him for 6 more years, which by the time his contract ends, he will be 30, 34, 35. 34? Yeah, 34. Because he turns 28 this year. He turns 28 actually next month. So, yeah, I love this deal. I mean, but this just means we're probably going to be paying almost $10 million towards the cap for goalies. Because I am assuming Charlie Lindgren will get locked up next. Because the Capitals are waiting on what the salary cap's going to look to re-sign Chychrun. And I think ultimately that's going to be an off-season thing. Potentially, if they get knocked out of the first round of the playoffs, I will not be shocked within a week of that same week that they re-sign Chychrun. Because that's when they will know when the cap. Usually they announce what's the cap going to look like towards the beginning of the playoffs. We will probably see Charlie Lindgren get signed next. As signing players in general, uh, I ultimately do think we will be seeing at least two players from college sign with the Capitals. I'm hoping Cole Hudson doesn't come over. He goes back to BU for one more year. I think he's like him, like Ryan Leonard. I do think an extra year in college won't hurt, and it could help him potentially bypass needing the juniors or the AHL to play right into the lineup. Because Cole Hudson he's not a he shouldn't have been a second rounder. Two, he is potentially better than his brother Lane, who is right now the current favorite to win. Current favorite to win the Calder. So I think potentially if he goes back next year, kind of like Ryan Leonard, I think both can skip the AHL because they don't need it in my eyes. But we will see. Like I've seen it happen before. Players they have an amazing rookie year or amazing freshman year and they instantly sign. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I just hope Cole goes back. But we will get into them in a minute. Let's get into trades. We have a potential trade deadline. We didn't talk about this last time, but Mikko Rantanen is going to Carolina along with Taylor Hall. I do think this is a better move than last year's Jake Guentzel move. Because I do think Rantanen, unlike Jake Guentzel, can put up big numbers. Jake Guentzel was really basically... He did put up big numbers for Carolina, but he disappeared come playoff time. And I don't think Rantanen will do that. Rantanen is the type of player that produces come playoff time. Even though the last two playoffs he hasn't really showed up. But he is a big playoff guy. But the thing is, I just don't think it's a good fit because he's not re-signed. This is basically another rental for the Carolina Hurricanes. Oh, great. What the hell do these idiots say now? Capitals believed to be pursuing another top 9 winger ahead of 2025 NHL trade deadline. I swear to God, if it's Tanev again, I'm going to be pissed. Who do you think? Russian machine never breaks.
Oh, those idiots.
LeBron's report tracks the players the Capitals have recently been linked to on the rumor wire. Washington has been connected to Seattle. The only one that has really been connected was Brock Nelson because they actually checked up on him from the Islanders. they physically Chris Patrick called up Lou Lamoriello and asked the price for Brock Nelson. Doesn't mean we're gonna trade for him. He just wanted to see how much it would be to get him. Apparently he didn't like it, so I don't think Brock Nelson will be coming to Washington. I don't. I think the price is too steep. His contract is just too much, and they would have to retain way too much than they already have to. Even though his contract ends next year. All right. Let's do this, Gil. Let me pull up the shared screen. We'll do this. Okay. All right. You ready to do this again, Gil?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Okay, so we talked about this a little bit. It still hasn't updated. It still has Ovi on the fucking injured reserve. All right. I got to do some moving around. Okay, Jacob Vrana to the bench. Ovi here. Is it Puck? No, it's not Puckpedia. It's NHL Armchair. Matt Waugh. Jacob Chikrin. TVR. Fucking cats. Dude, shut up. Stop. Hey, at least we still got Logan Thompson for $7,000. Doesn't have his contract up yet. All right. Okay, that's all good. All right. So, who are we looking to trade with first? Do you want to try? You want to see Montreal? So we talked about this a little bit. Jake Evans. Jake Evans could be a potential trade target. I mean, we could probably move Lapierre for Jake Evans. I mean, Lapierre probably wouldn't deny it either because Lapierre is from Quebec. But I do think we would have to probably add a pick into it. So I'm thinking maybe it's not gonna be, it's not on here, which sucks. I really wish they had multiple picks for the following years. This would make this a hell of a lot easier to trade. Uh, okay, so we'll say what, maybe a third rounder in 2028. We'll give them a third round in 2028. They give us maybe a fifth rounder in 2028 as well. So we flip flop picks. This would give us room, but we would probably have to move on from Eller, which I do think won't happen. I don't.
Send him back to Montreal.
No, I'm not. We're gonna have to trade him with another team. I don't think anyone's willing to take on his contract. I mean, it's not that bad. It's 2.4. We would have to retain, which we can't. Well, I think we have a spot. We do have a spot open. To retain, and I mean, it would basically we would have all three of the contracts go off the board this off season. And Oshie, Backstrom, and Kuznetsov. Which we're not retaining Oshie or Backstrom or Oshie and Backstrom in a trade. We're basically just paying them on LITR. The only guy we're really retaining is Kuznetsov, and his contract goes off the boards this season as well. So I do ultimately think that's what's going to have to happen if we want to make a trade this trade deadline. Is we're going to have to move on from some guys. We'll get into the next trade in a minute, but we'll do this trade. They get Lapierre. They center him probably on the second line with Newhook. We get Jake Evans. He goes to the third line. And we're going to do the pick that you want. And care to explain how we're going to do it?
Okay. This involves detail.
Yes.
I would, well, ideally it would be 1-for-1 Van Riemsdyk for the guy I want, but I don't think Buffalo's gonna. They don't. I don't think they're gonna want to do that.
No, and if we're looking at potentially them getting Elias Pettersson, which is what the rumor is right now, is Buffalo is all in on Elias Pettersson. They're probably going to be a little cap restraint. I mean, they have a ton of cap space. So let's potentially look at their cap. So Buffalo's cap. What is Buffalo's cap? It's not telling me. What the hell is their cap? They have a lot of picks next year. Oh, they have our 7th round pick. How the hell do they have our 7th round pick? Didn't we trade them Beck Malenstein?
Mm-hmm.
So shouldn't we have their pick?
That was the pick that. The pick that came back was the one that they used to get Cole Hudson.
Oh, what? Oh, that's right. Yeah, we traded. Oh, you know what? I think we traded up with Buffalo to get him, because that's how they got our 7th round pick. All right. So we'll go ahead. We'll just have to redo this in a minute. I'll redo it. Buffalo has $5 million cap space. Which if they give Connor Clifton off the board, depending how much is Elias Pettersson. So Vancouver is going to have to retain some of his salary. Yeah, so he's 11.6. They're going to have to retain some salary. I do think ultimately Buffalo is going to trade Dylan Cousins and potentially one of their defensemen. I don't think Bowen Byram is going to be part of that deal. But anyways, so we at this point we would have again we got to move Ovi over again. I'm gonna put McMichael down, Jacob Brown to the bench, Matt Waugh right here, Jacob Chicken right here, TVR here, Alexiev to the bench. I mean, we could probably move Alexiev and TVR, and it gives Buffalo our potential left-handed defenseman, and we could do some salary. We can retain some of TVR's contract, but I don't think we want to do that. All right, so we're gonna do what? The trade with Montreal again. Okay. So we do a trade with Montreal. We get Evans. They get Lapierre. Move Evans to the third line. Lapierre to the second line for Montreal. All right. So this Buffalo deal. Okay. All right, Gil. So how would you do this?
Well, Buffalo likes picks, so maybe we send TVR and something like a fourth rounder for Connor Clifton.
All right. So okay. Fourth rounder of this year or next year's?
Good question.
Because we don't.
Next year if we can.
Yeah, because we don't really have much picks. We only have 6 picks this year. All right. Okay, so next year's pick TVR for Connor Clifton, which means we'd only be paying 3,000. We'd be paying 3,000 more. So we would basically be in the cap, though. We'd be under the cap, $1 million under the cap. So it means we got to make another move. I do think we ultimately got to move on from Lars Eller. We could potentially move on from Tyler Radish, too. Flip him to a team that could give us money.
Or pull the trigger on Mangiapane early, since he's probably not coming back.
Yeah, we could do that. Move Mangiapane, because he's played well for us. And maybe potentially, so they get TVR. They get TVR and a pick, so they get that. So now we have Connor Clifton. We have a defensive line of Chikrin, Carlson, Farivari, Roy, Sandin, and Clifton. And then we potentially probably move to Mangiapane would fit well on a team that absolutely needs him. A team that absolutely needs him would be Edmonton. I could definitely see Edmonton going after him because they could use help on that third line. And potentially maybe we get a pick for him. We can't. They don't have many picks this year, so Edmonton is out of it. Florida might be a potential. Nope, they don't have any. They don't really have much picks to give up. 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, they only have 6, so they're not gonna move. Vegas could be it. Nah, Vegas doesn't have that many picks either. All right, Vegas. Let's trade into the Washington Capitals. How about that? We'll trade into the Washington Capitals. Here we go. All right. Vegas. I think Vegas could be a good candidate because no, they don't have much picks either. I mean, hey, we can get our 3rd round pick back.
Well, who the hell has all the picks then?
Calgary has a lot of picks, but we're not sending him back to Calgary. We're not trading within the division. Ottawa could be a good. Because they have a bunch of picks. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have 7 picks. Not really. Pittsburgh, no. Pittsburgh barely has any. Pittsburgh has a lot of fucking picks. Holy shit. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. But yeah, but they don't have. They only have a bunch of 7th. They have 10 picks, but they're all in the 7th round. They really don't have picks. They have a lot of picks, but they don't have picks. Like they don't have they have They don't have a 2nd rounder this year. They have 2 thirds and 3 fifths. That's basically all they have. They're not really a threat. And plus, they're not worth trading with. Tampa Bay might be it. No, Tampa Bay don't have picks. Tampa Bay ain't going to get rid of their picks. Winnipeg? Or we can do Winnipeg. Winnipeg, and you know what we could get for Winnipeg? We could probably get
What's his salary?
$2 million.
That's doable. It's not that much less, but it's less.
I think we throw in a. I think we throw. I do, and I also think we throw in a 5th rounder. And they get Mangiapane. They move Cole Perfetti back up because they're probably going to go after a center anyways, Winnipeg. So because there's talks that they're going to be moving on from Cole Perfetti. We get Vladimir Nemeshnikov. We put him in potentially on that second line. We put Radish. I think we're going to be moving on from Alexiev too. I think Alexiev is going to be gone as well. We get our 5th round pick. Radish goes to the bench. I think Alexiev gets moved. I do think we're going to making some room for some of the prospects. Either in Hershey or potentially for a playoff spot in case we need him. I do think Leonard will play a couple games before the end of the season because at that time we're not really going to need our players to play. He's going to get some ice time. So Leonard will be coming over, but I don't know. Where's he at? Where's that fucker at? He's not even on here. There he is. Alright. Okay. Which means we need a potential right wing on the top line. I don't think Nemeshnikov is a top line guy. I don't think he is. So I think we move Protas back up. And we potentially put Ryan Leonard on the 3rd line. We have Nemeshnikov on the 4th line. I do like Nemeshnikov more on the 4th line on our roster. We move Radish, because no offense to Radish, but he's not it. Alright, that still leaves us with, who the hell was this that we're going to get rid of? Alexiev. Okay, so Alexiev, I mean, we could probably flip him to maybe a struggling team that's looking for defense. Who the hell's out there that could... Not Chicago. San Jose. Get a 3rd rounder for him.
Ooh, and that'd be high up there too. Maybe even talk them. Alexiev's a former number 1. Maybe even talk them into a 2nd.
We're gonna go a little realistic here, Gil. We're going 3rd round pick. So I think overall a draft or trade deadline like that would look excellent. I mean, we got potentially a 3rd line. Well, we still got to move on from Eller. I don't like Eller on that 3rd line. I don't like him on this roster at all. I think he's more of a liability at this point. There's a lot of guys on this team that are liability right now. I mean, Eller, Radish, Sandin's been a little bit better. TVR still can't get the puck out of the fucking zone. His contract is so bad too, and it's like we should have never re-signed him for that much. You know what? I think we flip. We could potentially flip Eller for Kovalenko. And then, boom, there we go. Look at that. Look at that. I like that. It's not a Stanley Cup winning roster, but I like it. Could get us probably potentially in the 3rd round, though. I think it will get us to the 3rd round. I do think this roster is 100 times better than whatever the fucking Hurricanes have. What's going on? I got messages. Utah Mammoth. All right, speaking of that, apparently Utah is holding a little fan vote, sometime this weekend to decide the team's name going forward next year. The 3 finalists, the Hockey Club, the Mammoth, and the Wasatch. The Wasatch. Which is just their way of putting the Yeti on their front logo without getting yelled at by Yeti itself. Gil, your ultimate, what would you be your favorite? Mammoth, probably? Wasatch?
Wasatch. It's got to be a Native American name, but it also sounds like.
It's basically the mountain range. That's what it's yeah, it's a mountain range.
It also sounds like a Chinese laundry that has liquor on the side.
Wasatch. All right, it's showtime. Time to get the outfits back on. With time to argue. Where's my damn glasses? All right, Gilvis, I wait for your triumph return. Okay. Did you say you yeeted your glasses? All right. Okay. Here's where the argument begins. Mr. Sunshine over here don't believe in Mr. Ryan Leonard. He thinks he's got the clutch genes, but he's not a guy to take you to it. He's the one that gets you the win, but he can't take you to it. I call bullshit because he carried the Boston College to the championships last year. I call bullshit. He also carried Team USA to gold back to back to back. I call bullshit. This is where the argument, my mustache is falling off. Sorry, it's not staying on. This is bullshit. Gil, you are bullshitting me.
How many goals is going to get a year?
A year, Ryan Leonard, on an average? I think he's a 30-goal scorer.
Right.
I don't...
30-goal scorer is a generational talent? I don't think so.
It doesn't have to be.
You said he was.
I think he is a generational talent, but I also don't think every generational talent has to be more than a 30-goal scorer. I've seen... you can still score 30 goals and put up 100 points.
He's not a passer, though.
Yeah, you should check his highlights in the college this year because he's passing the puck. I ultimately don't think he's going to be our best goal scorer on the team. I do think that's going to be Crystal because Crystal is a pure goal scorer. Crystal has potential to be a 40-50 goal scorer on the roster. I do think he is the guy that's going to put the puck in the net more than Ryan Leonard. But I think Ryan Leonard he's a generational talent because he is a guy that's going to come in and he's going to change a franchise. He has that killer instinct. So does Crystal. Crystal has a killer instinct. So does Cole Hudson. Ryan Leonard will be the reason why the Pittsburgh Penguins we no longer fear the Pittsburgh Penguins. Just telling you right now. I'm calling it right now. April 15th. His first shift finds the back of the net. All right, speaking of prospects, let's talk about one that's potentially not a prospect anymore and potentially on the verge of being a bust. There's two of them. There's actually three. Obviously, Ryan Leonard's the first top prospect here. Obviously, the second best is Andrew Crystal, who arguably has taken over this guy's spot as being the top goal scorer. Because all I heard was from Muir fans, oh, he's an ex-Ovi. He has one hell of a shot. Yeah. My name's Mike Livingston. Iro Miroshnichenko should be on the NHL roster day one because he's that damn good. Well, where is he now, Mike? Where is he now? His ass is in Hershey where he fucking belongs. And I guarantee you, if he doesn't make the team next year, he's gone at the deadline. Miro is just he's lazy, and he gives up on plays majority of the time when he's playing. It gets on my nerves. I watched the entire preseason. That's why I told Mike from start from finish he's not making the roster because of how he was playing in the preseason. If anyone has right to be bitched at, it is Ivan Miroshnichenko because he is not as good as people stouted. Alright? Oh, if you didn't have cancer. I don't give a shit if you didn't have cancer or not. The same goes for LaPierre. Both were risks that we took on and clearly aren't fucking paying off. Oh, but he had 12 points in the postseason. He has, 5 total points in the NHL? And they gave him top 6 minutes beginning of the season when they called him up. What did he do? Nothing!
Didn't I ask you how many chances was Hendricks going to get?
Yeah, you asked me.
Him down?
3. He said 3. He said this was his third and last chance. And I think both. But with LaPierre, though, LaPierre has potential. I just don't think it's going to be here. I don't think we have any room for him here because we have, like I said, our log jam. Because Miro is a winger. We have openings for wingers on the roster. On the left side's pretty weak. Center outside of the defense, the right side of the defense is a fucking log jam. LaPierre was never gonna get the minutes he needed on here, so I'm not shocked that he's not performing. I'm just shocked that he had such a fallout the way he did this year. Because he looks so good in the playoffs. For Hershey and us. But I do think if he goes to a team like Montreal, he's going to thrive. He is going to thrive. He doesn't
fit with the Cap style of play.
No.
I don't know why they drafted him.
At the time, because our style of play was not the same as it is now. Remember, we had Todd. I think Todd Rudin was still the coach when LaPierre was drafted. No, Laviette just came on because he got drafted during the pandemic, the first season during the pandemic, because he got drafted a year after McMichael. But a lot of people said this. A lot of people said the same thing about McMichael. McMichael and Protas both struggled, but that was coaching, in my opinion. This is also coaching. I just don't think LaPierre should be playing bottom 6 minutes. If you want him to produce the way he needs more playing time, and he's just not going to get it here because we have Dubois and Strome. We have a log jam at the first 2 spots, and we potentially have our number 1 center coming in this draft. We're going to draft our number 1 center of the future with our last pick, our first pick in the first round, and we potentially might get a steal in the second round. But anyways, another kid who's not getting talked at all. He's not getting talked at all. Is Parasek. Pair of these nuts. Take pair of my sacks. Yeah, Parasek is having potentially an amazing WHL season, but it's being overshadowed of how much amazing Crystal's being. And I'm gonna say it right now. I think we see Crystal sometime next year. I do think he will be in Hershey this playoffs, and I do think he will play with Hershey this playoffs. I think he's going to give him no choice but to start him in the playoffs. He's just got this aura around him, Crystal does, that he's going to come in and if you need that late goal, you're going to get it from Leonard. But if you need that quick goal to get the momentum going, you're going to get it from Crystal. Crystal's that type of guy that you're going to put on the power play and you're going to get points. You're probably going to score almost every damn time you're on the power play. He reminds me so much of Cole Caulfield, and that's not bad because Cole Caulfield is one of the pure goal scorers in the NHL today. I mean, the kid, how many goals does he have this year alone? Like,
how many goals has he scored against the Caps every time that
Exactly. Like, that's how I feel with Andrew. Andrew Cristall plays a similar style as Cole Caulfield. And Cole Caulfield has 25 goals so far this year in 50 games. He scored, I think, almost 40 the other. He struggled last year because I think he was hurt half the season. Oh shit, it froze. But so that's where I think Crystal Parasek plays more of a similar style to. You're not gonna like this. But I do think he has a similar style to Nazem Kadri. I think he doesn't play like physical. I'm talking about like his offensive style. Because Parasek, he gets to the dirty areas in what I've seen. He also scores off the rush, which Kadri tends to do a lot. But Parasek is a guy we're probably not going to see maybe 3 more years. Because we're going to see Hudson, we're going to see Chesley, we're going to see Leonard, and we're going to see Crystal long before we see Parasek. And speaking of the next guy, Cole Hudson. This guy is a generational talent that we got in the second round.
This is the guy that's going to put up all the points.
Yes.
This is the guy that's going to light it up in the regular season. Well, he had a kick-ass tournament. I want to see what he does in the NHL playoffs. He had a kick-ass World Junior tournament.
Let's just say right now,
He's gonna light it up regular season.
we're going to get to that, and we're going to get to that next. We are going to talk about the Leonard Hudson Bowl. Leonard obviously won that bowl. Leonard had 5 points. Hudson got 1. Leonard was all over the ice during that series between Boston College and Boston University. Leonard is going to have a monster second half in college. I just have a feeling. And it's going to end with him winning that national title. I do think Leonard is on a mission to win that national title. But think of this, Gil. Could you imagine if Leonard jumps from college, goes to the Caps, and the Caps win the Stanley Cup, the same playoffs? Would you know how nuts it would be? And he scores the game-winning goal? You know how nuts it would be if that happened? I mean, that's a pipe dream. But, like, everywhere Leonard goes, he wins. So,
That would be nice. Send Ovi into retirement with one more cup.
Ovi's got 1 more year. He's not retiring after this season. He's got 1 more year left on his contract.
I thought you were talking about that happening next year.
No, I'm talking about this season. Because he's going to sign with the Caps. And like I said, I do think he's going to play because he
They're not winning the cup this year.
No.
Even with that,
But I'm just saying, could you imagine if they did, though? Like, could you imagine him come in and, like, just completely, like, the team just goes on an amazing run and wins it?
I'll say this about Leonard. You know what Leonard is? He's the Borg. Shoot at him, hit him. Oh, I'm gonna adapt and then come right back at you and kill your ass. He's the Borg.
Oh, look at that. They got trade targets. Okay, so we got GT Miller, Brock Nelson, Yanni Gord. Taylor Hall was already moved. No, I heard you. You said Borg. Anyways, Cole Hudson, yes. This is a generational talent that we got in the second round. The same thing with Crystal. Crystal is a generational talent, potential generational talent, that we got in the second round. Teams need to stop letting... We are the Philadelphia Eagles of the NHL. Teams are letting us get these players. They're letting us just draft these players. Are they stupid? They're letting it you can tell at the 2024 draft when Cole Hudson made it past what was he draft 42nd? The Capitals fucking ran to the podium and said, "We're taking this guy. We're taking this kid," and it's worked out so far. He's looked amazing. We'll see how he looks when he officially signs with the Capitals. But there's another kid here that we got to talk about too, who is potentially be our number 1 defenseman. He's going to be a guy that's going to come in and shut down the top defenders when we're leading like 2-1, 3-2. I'm assuming, yep, he is next on the list. 20-year-old Ryan Chesley, another guy that fell to us in the second round. This is the 3rd year in a row that this shit has happened. Like I said, Gil, we're the fucking Philadelphia Eagles of the NHL. We can draft well. These motherfuckers are letting us draft these guys. These potential first-round players falling to the second round right into our laps. Ryan Chesley has kind of found his offensive game this year. He's basically doubled his points in less games from last year. He is going to be our number 1 right defenseman. I don't care what people say. He is going to be that guy that he's fucking big. He's going to be that guy that's going to come in and just put the other team's top player on his ass and make him feel uncomfortable. He's going to come and make those 2-on-1 block shot saves, break up a 2-on-1. He's going to come in. He's going to kill. He's going to probably be one of our top penalty killers. He's not a guy I would put on the top power play. At first, when you originally drafted him, I would, but he's evolved his game more into a shutdown defenseman, which is something the Capitals desperately need. Especially a team that is looking to win a Stanley Cup in the next 4 or 5 years, which is around the timetable I think Chesley will be ready. I think he could potentially be ready. Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm reading his bio.
Oh, his bio. I thought you were looking at me like, really, 4 or 5 years?
No, I'm reading his bio.
Yeah, it basically says Chesley played some of his best hockey at the World Juniors, putting up 4 points in 7 games, en route to a gold medal with the USA. This was last year's, but he's like he only had 8 points in 39 games at the Golden Gophers, where he served in more of a shutdown role. But he's good at that, and I think he's a better shot than he might get credit for. And nearly half his points in his draft season were goals, but that's just not his game. And if he's going to make to the Capitals, it's for how confident he is patrolling his own zone. He is the team's best transition defender. Boom. By a good bit, and like we said during the Capitals prospect training camp, Chesley was one of the 3 that stood out. Ryan Chesley, Andrew Crystal, and Ryan Leonard were all the 3 that stood out in that camp. He's a good puck moving defenseman, but he is a guy that's going to come in and shut the door, and I think he is going to pair well with a guy like Jacob Chychrun. I could see those 2 guys, because Jacob Chychrun can put the puck in the net. Ryan Chesley could shut it down. And those 2 are big dudes. Could you imagine those 2 as our top pairing? And you put Cole Hudson with potentially a guy we drafted this year. I don't think that, like, the next guy we're going to talk about, I think he is going to be a trade target this offseason, or this potential trade deadline. Vincent Arario. Yeah, bud, your time's up. I'm sorry. You're already 21 years old. You've been in the AHL the last 2 seasons, and you really haven't produced at all. He is a strong physical defenseman. A team's gonna want to go after him. And maybe we can get a pick for him, or we can get a player for the trade deadline. I just don't see where he fits on this roster anymore. I don't. Because there's another kid we got to talk about who potentially, well, he's a left-handed defenseman, so probably not. Leon Mugli, who had a very impressive World Juniors. He looked really good until he played Team USA, and then Team USA made everyone look bad. He is potentially a guy I think we could probably move to the right side, but he shoots left. But I can definitely see him playing on the right side if we need him to be. Because I don't think he fits on the left side, because that's a fucking log jam. Like I said, the left side is a longer jam than the right side. I mean, we're looking at potentially him being a 5th defenseman if he plays on the left side. There's another kid that really I had high hopes for, because he played with Bedard and he put up numbers. Even when Bedard left, he put up numbers. Alexander Zudlov. Yeah, no. He's probably an AHLer. What? Suzalov. He is potentially an AHLer. He might crack the top 4 or the bottom 4, bottom 6, maybe the 4th line. I just don't think he will at this point. And then Baby Protus. Ilya Protus. Yeah. I don't know where the hell we're going to put this kid on the roster, but
I don't know either, but he's gonna make it hard.
if he plays like his brother, he will. And other mentionable guys, Eric Smateko. I think he's going to find a way to get on this roster. He just seems like a goal scorer. He reminds me a lot like Jay Beagle. He reminds me a lot like who else? Thomas Fleischman. Who's another guy? Jason Chimera is another one. He plays a similar style. He's a big player, and he produced at the World Juniors. So the Capitals are the future's very bright. But there is one glaring hole we got to talk about, and it is the future in net past Logan Thompson's contract. So if Logan Thompson's contract ends in 6 years, that puts Nicholas Kemp at 24, around the age that a goalie should be developed and ready to go to the NHL. Looking at this, I don't think I need more. I need more like footage, like evidence, and I need more time to really uh, judge how Kemp's gonna look, because this is only his first year. He's a freshman. Notre Dame's really bad, so I can't really put this on him as to why they're bad. Like he's letting in goals, because he's given about 3 goals a game, and I can't really blame him because the majority of those goals weren't his fault. It's a lot of like 2-on-1s. It's a lot of turnovers. Notre Dame is just not a good hockey team. So how much? So we can't really judge his play. How much of that is him, and how much of that is just Notre Dame being really bad? We will not really tell until next year when he is getting way more time, because he's only played 10 games this season. And I mean, Owen Say looks better than him, but Owen Say is also a senior, so he is more used to the Notre Dame. What the hell is it called? He's a junior. He's a junior. He also played at Mercyhurst University the last 2 years. So he's also undrafted, so we can pick him up. Look at that. He's a big goalie too. You know what? Yeah, let's get him. So you can't really judge Nicholas Kemp. I mean, would you judge him, Gil?
No, give him at least another year.
I think he potentially plays 2 more years in college. I do. Goalies are the type of guys.
Yeah.
Goalies are the ones that I'm not worried about letting ripe. Goalies, like I said, usually goalies take the longer time to develop. They're one of the most skilled position in my eyes. You have to do a lot to be a goalie. You have to be very flexible. It's probably the hardest position to play in all the sport. And it is also the hardest to develop, which the Caps have no problem with. They love developing goalies. I mean, look at all the goalies that came out of the Cap system. Ole the goalie. Brent Johnson. Jose Theodore. Semyon Varlamov. Michael Norvert. Braden Holtby. Philip Grubar. Ilya Samsonov. Vitek Vanacek. Hunter Shepard. Clay Stevenson. And potentially Nicholas Kemp. But there is a goalie that is very intriguing that the Capitals might pull the trigger on in the second round in this draft. We talked about him a little bit in our prospect showcase. What the hell is his name? The Russian. No, it's Artyom something. He's like 6 foot. No, that's the best goalie coming in the draft, and we're not going to get him because he's potentially going late first, early second. He's also the biggest player in the... Oh, no, second biggest player in the draft. Oh, here we go. International goalies. Peter Andrenov. This kid has potential to be a really good goalie. I think he's potentially to be the best goalie in the draft. Even better than Ross Reisenberg. What the hell is his name? Andrenov. Got him right here. So he is only 6 feet, but I mean, I'd rather have a bigger goalie. But he's putting up amazing numbers in the MHL. I thought Russia wasn't allowed in the World Juniors. Or is that their version of the World Juniors? Might be International Junior. So he's put up some really good numbers in the MHL this year. He's got 27 games. He's letting in less than 2 goals. And he's got a .94 average, and he's a 17-5. This is a type of goalie that could be a steal in the draft. And he's got Washington Capital written all over him. He's Russian. Capitals love their Russian goalies. But they might be a little too hesitant since the Samsonov debacle that they might not pull the trigger. But if they end up drafting this kid, I don't think Kemp has a future in Washington. But we'll continue to monitor. We'll continue to monitor the situation there. Let's talk about Boston College versus Boston University, as college is getting close to the World Juniors, 2 months away from the regionals, 2 months away from the regionals, 3 months away from the Frozen Four tournament. Gilvis, do you want to go ahead and share your thoughts on this game?
Which one?
Both.
I'll be honest, I didn't. We talking about the Boston Bowl?
Yeah.
I didn't catch much of it, to be honest.
All right, then I'll do it. I got it. All right, so the Boston Bowl. Okay. The Boston Bowl. Oh, it's a yard. The Boston Bowl was 2 games. I think they play each other again towards the end of the season. The Boston Bowl played 2 games. They played Friday and Saturday. One in Boston University, one at Boston College. And Boston College took both games with dominance. Yeah. Wow, they got Ryan Leonard on the second line. They moved him off the Perot line. Huh. Surprised.
Puts Teddy Stiga in his place.
No. Alright, let's see that. We'll go to NCAA. NCAA hockey scores. Alright. Okay, here we go. So Boston College won 6-2. Leonard got a hat trick. Cole Hudson was a -4. That's only because he was on ice. He was on the ice for both of those empty netters. Because obviously they were giving him more ice time to try to tie the game up. And didn't work. Yeah. So Ryan Leonard takes the first game, 6-2. He would turn around and do it again. Boston University put up a bigger fight. No, they didn't. They got shut out. They got shut out 2-0. Ryan Leonard, Cole Hudson did not even get out. Oh, he was a -1. Okay, so he was a -5 in the series. Ryan Leonard went 1-1. He got an assist and he got he got a great goal. He got a great assist that he set up Teddy Stiga off a shot he took that Stiga pounced the rebound. So Leonard 2-0 against Cole Hudson. I'm sure they will meet again come the tournament. Ultimately, I'm gonna get an early prediction. Who do you think's gonna win the Frozen Four?
Good question. Well, BC's driven. They want revenge from last year.
I don't think they're gonna play Denver. I think Denver's gonna get knocked out early. They're not playing well right now.
I don't know if I'd make them the odds-on favorite for maybe one of them.
So we got Minnesota,
Right?
Michigan State,
Oh yeah, they're having a pretty good year.
Western Michigan, Denver. So usually the top 12 teams make the Frozen Four tournament. So right now the top 12 would be Arizona State, Ohio State, Boston University, Connecticut, UMass Lowell, Providence, Maine, Denver, Minnesota, Western Michigan, Michigan State, Boston College.
I don't know if they get too much further past the first round, but Arizona State's my Cinderella pick.
They could pull a Michigan State a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Arizona State's starting to, yeah, they've got a program going out there that's starting to really.
They're starting to pick up steam. They've been on the edge of the top 25, and now they're yeah they're getting their shit together.
I ultimately think, though, it's the Final Four is going to be Minnesota, Michigan State, Boston College, and potentially Denver. I think that's going to be the Final Four. I ultimately think Boston College will beat Michigan State in the championship because I have a feeling Denver is going to fall short. I think Boston College and Denver are going to meet in the semifinals in the Frozen Four. Boston College is going to get revenge. Michigan State's going to beat Minnesota again. And we're going to get Boston College versus Michigan State, and Boston College is going to win the championship. Ryan Leonard will win his national title. He will sign with the Capitals the very next night. And then he will score against Pittsburgh on the 15th. But, okay, so that's enough of that. We can go ahead and take our costumes off. All right, Gil. Shit. Okay. Let's look at Hershey before we end this. All right.
Oh, do we have to?
Why?
Well, they're playing Wilkes-Barre Scranton tonight, and they are losing badly already.
Let's see the game.
Three nothing Wilkes-Barre, and they haven't gotten out of the. They haven't even gotten halfway through the first period yet.
Yeah, Hershey hasn't been playing well as of late, but I'm assuming that's just due to injuries. All right. Let's see. Oh, maybe. Yeah, it's already 3-0. Holy shit. Great. That bum Rutgers McGroarty.
Yeah, one assist.
All guess we can do like a little prediction. I mean,
They're still on top of the Atlantic. Not too bad.
they're still one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to three-peat. They just don't have that aura they had the last 2 seasons. Rochester's really fallen off.
Not really.
They were up like 6 points on the Rocket. Yeah, now they're 3 points back, and they're tied with Utica right now. That'll be interesting to see how that goes too. I mean, we still got to go to another Hershey game potentially. Not you, me and Cheryl. I mean, we really don't cover them on this podcast, but I guess we could cover them now because apparently they're in first place. Oh, they changed their name. They're no longer called the Atlanta Gladiators. Bullshit. So yes, apparently they are in first place. They are no longer in first place. What a shocker! The 3-time champion Florida Everglades are in first place. Oh, they're still called the Atlanta Gladiators. Okay, there's 2 Atlanta teams. There's 2 Georgia teams. Look at all this shit. Majority of these teams are in Florida and in Georgia. I thought Vegas was getting an ECHL team.
They have one. They do have one.
Wasn't it the Dragons?
No, it's the Silver Knights.
No, that's AHL.
Oh wait, hold on.
They were announced that they were going to get the Reno Dragons.
The Tahoe Night Monsters.
Tahoe Night Monsters.
Yeah, that's their ECHL team.
They are not on here. So they must be coming next year.
This is their
Well,
Wikipedia says it's their first year.
is there a West?
This is
Oh, you know what?
Their logo looks like a dragon, but they're the Night Monsters.
You know what? It's because this is the West. This is the West. Okay.
Yeah,
That's why. Yeah, they're in the mountain. Okay, so we have Toledo, which I believe is the Seattle's team.
Detroit.
Detroit. Cincinnati's in the West? What the fuck?
No, Cincinnati's in the Central.
No, they're in the Western Conference. That's what I'm trying to say. They should be.
Yeah.
They should be in the East. Yeah, we gotta start covering this more though. We should. Who is Seattle's AHL team? Or ECHL team?
Kansas City Mavericks.
Okay. Kind of gives it away when they look like the Firebirds. So, we're going to talk about potential NHL expansion. I guess we'll do that. We'll cover that instead of cover the Bears. New Jersey Devils are set to play in possible future NHL expansion city in 2025 preseason. Nah, Quebec's not going to be it. Sports Illustrated came out last week talking about two cities are leading the charge. You kind of can already tell what one city is with the image that just loaded. Uh, yeah. So the NHL continues to move towards another expansion with two key American cities leading the charge. According to Kevin Weeks, who is one of the potential owners he says Houston and Atlanta continue to make progress toward NHL expansion. Weeks notes that the NHL will probably need to sign a new collective bargaining agreement. Will need to be signed first. Reports have indicated one may get agreed upon ahead of schedule. Projected league revenues are expected to be around 6.5 and 7 billion this year in the United States alone. If Houston and Atlanta land new teams, it would expand the league to 34 and 27 in the United States. Houston previously had a WHA team between 1972 and 1978, which they also had an AHL team. The same team name was in the AHL that defunct. I don't think it says here. No, it doesn't. We already know about the Flames and the Thrashers. What?
The Arrows.
Yeah, the Arrows. They were also in the AHL for a certain part of time. Houston and Atlanta aren't your traditional hockey markets, but the NHL would love to have teams in the big pair. So the thing about this is Atlanta, this time around, it will not fail because it has the right owners trying to make it work. So if we have the expansion, I don't think anything changes. I still think you do the 16 teams. I do think you change the format, though. You have to change the format. Let's see what they think. Which NHL teams should get expansion next? Phoenix, obviously. Toronto, Quebec City, yeah. Kitchener, Houston, yeah. Kansas City, yeah. Why another Chicago team? What?
Because you got one there, the one that's already there is perpetually bad.
Well, if you look at it, almost every sport except for basketball and football have two. Oh no, baseball has two Chicago teams. They're the only ones.
Yeah, baseball does. And that's it.
That's right. San Diego used to own the Clippers.
Yep.
I don't see Portland getting a team. They're going to get a baseball team before they get an NHL team. Indianapolis is not a hockey state. Baltimore is too close to Washington, D.C. Milwaukee is too close to Chicago.
And Baltimore's already had two AHL teams.
They might. Frederick might be getting an ECHL team, which.
That I've seen a lot of news on. They're pushing really hard for an ECHL team. That's probably going to happen in a couple 3 years.
I don't see Colorado Springs getting a team because it's way too close to Denver. Maybe Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls might get a team, but out of all these cities, I think Houston and Atlanta are more likely the top two. And then if they go to potentially 36, I would do Quebec City and Phoenix. I do think Phoenix will ultimately get a new team because the Phoenix Suns owner has already came out and said that they want to bring the Coyotes back. So I do think we see the Coyotes return as the Phoenix Coyotes. I do think we'll see the Quebec Nordiques come back as well. We'll see the Atlanta Thrashers come in and potentially see the Easton Heroes. So I ultimately do think the league will go to 36. I don't know when, though. We're probably looking at maybe 2040. We'll have potentially 36 teams. But right now, they still got to do the agreement. And I think the talk of that, I don't know if it's owners or if it's players. I think it's players. Players and owners meeting, they're going to talk about expansion, and I do think it will be approved. And after that is done, I do think we're going to get an announcement that Houston and Atlanta are expanding into the league. Now, do you rebrand their name, or do you pay Winnipeg all the money to get the Thrashers back?
Good question. Depends on how much money they're going to want.
Yeah. You know, well, Jared doesn't think we should expand to 34 teams. I look at it as this. The league is going to make way more money if they expand. They're looking at potentially a $4.5 billion expansion fee. If they expand to two total teams, they're going to make about $4.5 billion for both. Because look at it. Vegas was like, what, $300 million? Seattle was $600 million?
Vegas was like $500 million.
Yeah, and Seattle was almost $750 million.
Yeah.
So they're looking at potentially $1 billion or more for each team. So about $3 billion making an expansion fees. And if we're talking about 4 teams, you're looking at potentially at $6 billion.
Yeah, they're not going to say no to that.
And I don't think it's going to affect the talent-wise because the league is getting better and better. There's more and more players coming into the league. That we're starting to find players with elite talent past the second and third round. So I think it will be fine. I think going to 36 teams is fine. I think after that, that's when you pull the plug and say that's enough. 40 teams is pushing it. 36 is fine. 38's a little too much. 48 is definitely pushing it. Or 40 is definitely pushing it. So, would you, if you're the commissioner, would you expand?
The money's right, and the people behind the teams have the stability.
That's
Why not?
that's going to be the biggest problem.
Yeah, that's the one thing. The economy's got to be a little, they got it's got to stabilize. So it's probably not going to happen for a little while.
I think
It's going to be more of a long range thing.
I don't agree with that. I do think it's going to be a long time. It's going to be the success for that franchise is going to be long, kind of like what Seattle's going through. It's not going to be like Vegas. We're not going to see Vegas success. But I do think we're going to see an expansion team by 2030. I do. I think 2030 is where we're going to see potentially.
That's what I'm talking about. It's not going to be.
Yeah.
It's not going to be in the next couple of years.
No, it's going to be in 2030. 100%. They're going to. I guarantee 2026 is when they're going to announce it. It's by 2026 they're going to announce, hey, next year they're going to announce, hey, these teams, because that's when or probably 2027, early 2027, hey, these 2 teams are being expanded. But I ultimately do think Houston's going to have an Arrows type team, and I do think Atlanta is, there's just, you have to go back to the Thrashers. But anyways, Gil, we'll be back for next week's episode, hopefully with a full crew. Actually, no, we won't. Cheryl won't be here. Thank you for coming on, Gilvis. Fuck you. Hope to never have you back. Gil, we will be back, and then potentially, I'm thinking our mid-season is going to be from 2 weeks from now, because we're going to do we got the 2 weeks off for the Four Nations stupid fucking tournament. Fornications tournament. So we're going to be off for 2 weeks after that. Then when we come back, we got a bunch of episodes to make. We got to make 2 prospect showcase episodes, make 1 pre-trade deadline, 1 post-trade deadline. Then we got like maybe a back-to-back episode to record for the regular show. And then we got to get ready to rebrand, which I will be announcing in the update video next week, is we are rebranding the channel and the night of the NFL draft, the first night. We will be adding more podcasts to this channel, not just Capitals stuff, not just prospect. I'm thinking of doing Vegas. I'm thinking of doing Boston. I'm thinking of doing a bunch. I posted a link on Facebook. But anyways, guys, thank you guys. Thank you, Gil. That's another great episode. Hey, don't leave yet. Catch us this Saturday for the Winnipeg game, section 200. I don't know what row. I don't know what seats. Just check us at the game. Fuck Winnipeg. Let's kick some Jets' ass. Let's get a bazooka. Shoot that shit out of the sky. Boom. Capitals on 3. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Let's go, Caps!
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely